Well, let's bring in Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, because he's joining us this afternoon to take a look at a few he's got his eye on and wants to bring to our attention. But first and foremost, Scott, let's talk about those numbers this morning. Really, three strong numbers. We started off the show looking at the retail sales, but again, across the board, jobless also impressed. What stood out?
You know, I think the retail sales number the most, because the jobless claims have been in a pretty continuous pattern here. And I know that, you know, the number was slightly higher than expected, but when you actually look at the continuing claims number, that was lower today, which is a good thing. So that one was pretty much right in the pattern that we've been. But that retail sales number, that was, you know, I don't want to say it's a head scratcher, but that was an outlier. You know, is it one of those reports that we get, Ben, that is really a market mover that is going to, you know, make the Fed think greater about their decision? Probably not. However, it still does show the strength of the consumer out there. It really does. Now, one thing, you may have spoken to this, if you really take a dive into those retail sales numbers, the strength was coming from online sales, which certainly would make sense with, you know, maybe people not going into the stores given, you know, the Delta variant out there a little bit. But nonetheless, consumers are still spending.
They sure are. And, you know, Scott, I mentioned jobless. I'm glad, again, you pointed out, and I'd agree that the retail sales is really the standout there. But the Philly Fed also came in really strong. We're talking 30.7. And I also noticed, again, this was just one of many of the pretty good, strong numbers here. Ecodata came in pretty positive this week, to say the least. Let's move on here, though, because the casino stocks are still feeling some pain today, it looks like. LVS and Wynn are on your radar. What's going on? Another move lower today.
Yeah, there were some downgrades out there, and obviously the uncertainty coming out of China. But I think there's great opportunity in both of these. I'm not saying that we're going to see 10, 20, 30% gains, you know, in the near term on either one of these. But I love both of these. I think they're bottoming out. If you look at LVS, that's coming down to the lows that we saw at the beginning of the pandemic last March. Wynn, very similar. It's looking to fill a gap, for those of you that know what a gap is, which is right around $81, which occurred, you know, pretty much at the same time last year. And I'm not saying there can't be any more downside, but I really like that. To me, it looks like there is a bottoming out. I'll be honest with you. I have actually tried to sell some put spreads in Wynn the last 2 days, just haven't gotten filled at the levels that I want to get filled at. And for me, I would be more of a put spread seller in both of those than a call or a call spread buyer, just because I think that we are bottoming out. We're leveling out a little bit. And I don't know that I, you know, necessarily see in the short run here big pops to the upside as much as I do a flattening out of the recent declines that we've seen.
Okay, LVS currently down about 1% here, just under 1%. Scott, you mentioned some of the downgrades. LVS was JP Morgan. Downgraded shares to neutral from overweight. They have a price target of 38, down from 59. And JP Morgan as well downgrading Wynn, as you mentioned, to neutral from overweight. And that's with shares now priced at 89, down from 122. Let's move on, because Moderna says the data supports the benefits of the mRNA 1273 booster dose, the 1273. It's promising to see, they said, promising to see clinical and real-world evidence adding to the growing body of data of evidence of effectiveness on the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Basically, they're pushing for it, and the stock's on the move here in reaction to. What are you seeing?
Yeah, this stock has been up and away, and again, full transparency. I had some long option positions. We got in right around the 380 area that we exited yesterday. And is it going higher? Yeah, it still looks like it's going higher. I won't re-enter a new long position until I see a pullback, maybe around to the 400 area. But in general, the option market in Moderna, for a stock that is trading in such wide ranges and basically on news every day, is incredibly, incredibly cheap. I do like this stock longer term. I'm just not looking to re-enter here. I want to see more around a 400 price. Okay,
this one, again, has seen a bit of a range after spiking up to 497. The highs that we saw, again, it was just last month, the middle of last month, and then back down to 350, but for the most part, finding comfort right in the middle of that area right now. We'll keep an eye on this, Scott. They're currently trading up on the day by, well, it looks like about 1 1/3%. Scott, let's talk CMG. Piper Sandler raised the firm's price target on Chipotle to $2,600 from $2,235. They kept them with an overweight rating. What's going on in terms of reaction to?
And when has this stock not seen upgrades? I mean, it seems like, every quarter you see new upgrades in this stock. But, from a technical standpoint, it's really been coiling for about 6 weeks. What do I mean by coiling? It's traded in a fairly tight range, for a $2,000 stock around the last 6 weeks. It is now near that upper end of where it has been trading. I wouldn't buy it here yet. I wouldn't buy it until we see a breakout actually on that upper end. I'm willing to give up a little more upside to wait for that technical breakout. Or if it can't break out and it dips back down, Ben, I'd rather see it pull back to the 50-day moving average, which is about $100 from here. It's around 1810 or so.
Okay, this is a stock also that's been in a bit of a range, and this is kind of sticking with the pattern that we've been looking for and seeing repeating across, upside, downside, bullish, bearish, different time frames, different products, stocks, futures. In this case, again, a nice, strong, high conviction run up, and since then a bit sideways around this $1,900 level. Well-defined upper and lower extremes and acceptance of these new levels. Scott, thanks for giving us part of your Thursday afternoon. Appreciate you joining us here on Midday Mover. Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, bringing to our attention a few stocks he's got his eye on and thinks we should as well. We're going to